Hi everyone, welcome to part 4 of our Bitesize learning series. In this session, we will be looking at how we build rapport with learners, how we maintain that rapport with them, and some of the challenges you might face. So let's take a look at what's important about building rapport. The first thing to consider is the shift in the relationship dynamic between you and the learners. This will be a cornerstone in moving the relationship from the teacher-student dynamic to the more effective peer-to-peer dynamic. The next thing is that it builds trust. This is not just trust between two individuals, but trust in the process you are asking them to commit to with their learning. This trust in the process will have the added benefit of improving engagement with the subject. This is because the learner understands that you are invested in them as a person, and it has a big impact on their willingness to develop. Last but not least, this leads to a more collaborative approach to the learning. As the learner is more trusting of you and engaged in the process of learning, they will share with you things they would either need or like to know. This makes tasks like getting feedback from your learners not just a constructive way to improve your delivery, but a way of plotting context and building a program around their needs. So how can we get to this point? So let's look at strategies for developing that connection. First one is the key part of this is not treating your learners like students. We are professional adults working with professional adults, and that relationship needs to be open and built on mutual respect, not on perceived or artificial authority. There is no place for having someone be the big boss of the classroom. This is helped by being true to the values of the company and communicating with your students only in English. English is a rather powerful leveling communicative tool, since we don't really use the specific formal structures in normal communication. That's not to say it can't be formal, but in general it's neither informal or formal. So use this. Put everyone on the same level, whether the group has a manager in it or you're working with the head of a department. By staying in English, it keeps everyone on that same level. And this will help when you invariably make a mistake. After all, we're only human, so embrace it. Being human in the classroom is extremely important. It's okay to show weakness and make mistakes. After all, for most of you, this language is not your mother tongue. Native speakers make mistakes all the time, especially if they have dyslexia or some other learning disorder, and it's important to remember that no one is perfect. So own your mistakes. Use resources like Google to help you with spelling and other lexical items, since this behavior is what learners will need to copy in real life, so that needs to be demonstrated as a natural act in the classroom. Next is to be open. The above point feeds into this one. Relationships are built on shared experiences. We already have something in common the moment we walk into a classroom, the difficulty of learning a new language. But it goes much deeper than just the obvious, since we do things every day which we share with so many other people, whether it's struggling to decide what to eat that day or dealing with an annoying neighbour. These small things, not just the big things like hobbies or other shared interests, allow us to relate to our learners. The final point is the most important. Work hard. Effort is everything, and when your learners see the effort that you put into lessons, and I'm not just talking about the positive energy you give out, but the real desire to craft experience which best fit your learners' needs, then you're onto a winner. Remember, the single most important thing in this job is that those in your classes actually learn and develop. By paying attention to these areas, you will build that rapport which will be so key to a productive and efficient learning experience. So with that said, let's have a look at some challenges you might face. So there are some issues that you will need to be aware of during this process, and these are things to consider. Firstly, be wary of allowing this positive rapport with your learners to become a crutch. This can come in the form of a lack of preparation or attention in class. This can also come from the learner's side as well, treating the learning experience as a secondary concern to having a positive experience in general. This dovetails into another issue, which is the breakdown of the barrier between a professional relationship and a personal one. In that, I mean you can become friends. It is really important that while you are being a facilitator of their learning, it is more effective if you keep that professional distance. That's not to say you can't share some personal details, or that the learner wants to talk about something that's happening in their life and you can't provide a sympathetic ear. It's okay to be friendly with your students. However, by taking that relationship from professional to personal, you open yourself up to potential banana skins in the process. Maybe something you say is taken out of context and they become offended. Or maybe they react negatively to some constructive criticism. Of course, these might happen in a professional context as well, but it's much easier to rectify. The other issue is that the learner might, feeling like it is a safe place to express any issues, share with you something that is extremely sensitive, either from the business side of things or personal, potentially leaving you in a difficult position with what to do with this. In most cases, of course, you will do nothing, but it's an additional stress for you to have. In general, a sensible approach to developing rapport with your learners will lead to a more productive and effective learning experience for them and yourself. So thank you very much for listening to this. I hope it's helpful. Please complete the reflection, and I will get in touch with you soon. Thank you very much. Bye.